Hi, I'm Tom Stevenson, and welcome to Construction Project Management Tips. In this series, we provide a bunch of tools, tips, techniques, and different methodologies of ways of improving your construction project management practices. Today, we're going to be talking about scope statements and how we can use them and how we can apply them, why they are used, and how they can help us better manage our projects. Project scope statement that I like to think of as a checklist as well, because it kind of, if you have a checklist developed, it kind of forces you to think things through a little bit and ensures you don't skip things. And checklists are very valuable in that sense. But if you look at PMP, Project Management Professional Training, delivered out through the PMI, Project Management Institute, they define scope management as what will be done and what will not be done. And that's very important. You have clients that think that everything is going to be done, and if that's not within the scope, then you're going to have problems during the project. So really from the get-go, you want to clarify what's my responsibility, what's your responsibilities, what am I not doing, what are you not doing, and have a good mutual understanding on that. That way you're building that good positive relationship before you start. You don't want to have something coming up in the middle. Well, that's your responsibility. No, that's your responsibility. So this is what it tries to do, is clarify it right from the start. That way you can plan, execute, and add value to the client better. So the project scope statement really declares what will be done for this project. It also highlights what won't be done if there's particular things that are limited or excluded from the project. And when you go through this process, everybody should agree to it before you start. Obviously, if you got conflict before you start, that can be a problem right off the bat, right? So you want to have that clarity right before you start. And often we don't do that. Now in construction, we do have the advantage that we have bid documents that are put out for bidding, and we receive the bids, and the contract is awarded, and the contract outlines what's included. But it is still a worthy approach to highlight how things are going to proceed, and really having clarity and mutual understanding in that way. And not all projects are, as well sort of defined as some government projects may be done with that aspect of it, pre-award meetings, etc., that you'll see in construction projects very often. So we really want clarity on the goals, and I'm not going to jump too deep into goal definement and that sort of thing here, because I do that in some of my other videos. You can check on the playlist. But if, for example, we're going to build a custom home, you would want to just sort of highlight, with the constraints and goals that we use in construction, which is typically time, cost, quality, scope, safety, those areas that are constraints, but they're also goals. We want to have those really well defined, clarified. And so this also gives us mutual understanding of what we're doing, because sometimes it's in different spots in the contract and it's in different spots in the documents, but this is just sort of bringing it together so we can look at it at a very high level very quickly and have that clarity of vision of what we're trying to accomplish. And so we'd have a start date and a finish date, and we'd have what is the total cost, and we'd want to make sure that it's according to the plans and specifications. Maybe there's a specific date that we're referencing from those plans and specifications and contract documents. If there's any special requirements around quality expectations, we'd want to define that more clearly. Really, when we think about the goals, we want to answer what, when, how much, and it's really walking through those steps and coming to a complete visionary understanding of it. And then we go into other parts, right? We go into other parts where we can then start developing the details of how we're going to execute. The deliverables, well, if we have a custom home that we're building as an example, what are the major deliverables that we're going to deliver on this project? Now this is just showing just a list of activities and their connections, and it's giving you a critical path, but it's not really, doesn't have a work breakdown structure. It doesn't have detail of particular deliverables that are being offered. Work breakdown structure would very definitely help to establish that. So this would, you'd want to have more detail in that. You'd want to have areas of deliverables. From that, you can develop other things in your project, like your schedule of values, what certain areas are cost valued at. So when you do your progress payments, you can be receiving those payments based on those early numbers that you put in attached to those deliverables. That can be very, very helpful for you. And it can break your project down into areas of work that are really clear and really well defined. On some projects, deliverables can be like phase dates. You know, we have, this is our phase dates for these units. This is when the client is moving in. You're doing a strip mall. There may be different phase dates for some of the units based on when the tenants are moving in. So that could be another aspect of the deliverables. Milestones. Well, if we've got the deliverables kind of hammered out, then we want to have a good understanding of milestones. What are we driving towards? What are some key dates that we're trying to match up to? And have we got them defined? And then we can look at that. And they're usually somewhat spaced out so that they're not like every single day or something like that. They're maybe spaced out depending on the length of your project, every 6 weeks or every 3 months. And they're targets, and it also provides some clarity of vision where you want to be at certain points in time. And that's very, very helpful too, because then you can really break things down and go into much more detail. So this is a good starting point to have that clear, and it's a good way to go through with your client exactly what you expect to be happening at certain points in time, so they can start to prepare for it. They may also have to, if it's a renovation that's being done in offices or something like that, you might have key dates where they have to move or relocate for periods of time, and that would help establish those time factors and those time periods. Technical requirements. Well, the technical requirements on a construction project, let's face it, everything is technical. You have a set of specifications, you have a set of drawings, but I like to think of the technical requirements as a way of sort of highlighting certain key areas that you may want to put extra effort into. This could tie to the Pareto principle, where you identify 20% of the elements that you think are really sort of technically complex for you. Maybe you've never done a hydronic heating system, right? And this is new to you. So maybe that's going to be one of the ones that you want to highlight as a technical requirement that's going to require extra focus and extra effort for you to be able to be successful on it. Maybe it's a LEED building and a LEED certified building, and you haven't done a LEED certified building before. So maybe meeting those requirements, that's going to require a lot of time and effort to ensure that that goes well. So you're really sort of at the get-go establishing these sort of pinch points and trying to work out that this is going to require some extra effort, and we've got to make sure that we don't miss this or don't procrastinate it so that it catches up on us and then it ends up delaying the project or costing a lot more than we thought it would. And this is being proactive. Limits and exclusions. This is where you want to identify constraints or things that have been excluded from the project. For example, in this house example over here, perhaps you're not intending to do the landscaping and you've put that into the contract. It's a good idea to have this clarified in the scope statement. Anything that you are not doing or anything that the client is doing and you want to clarify that, like security devices installed by owner. We're not doing that. We're just clarifying that just to make sure that that works out. It's important from that perspective. That way they know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. If there's any kind of issue with that, it's very early on. We can discuss this, we can negotiate this, and then we can put it into the plan. This is really sort of crystallizing, ensuring that we have no scope gaps or no misunderstandings here. So limiting exclusions is very helpful in that regard. Reviews with the client. All right, so you definitely did all this. You want to have that discussion. So if you work through those previous points, then you're going to meet with the client and their consultant or their consultant, and you're going to make sure that you run through these points. And the goal is, as I said, to clarify each person's position and each party's position, so there's really good understanding there, and your project's now off to the right foot. Then we can start talking about the other things that we need to discuss with regards to setting up our project, and we'll discuss that in future videos. So I'm Tom Stevenson. I hope you enjoyed this short video clip. If you did, please click subscribe. You can look at my playlist, click the notifications. And how about you? Do you do a project scope statement? Put in the comments. What are the pluses and minuses of having done one? Or do you think that can be helpful for your projects? Is it something that would help clarify a lot of things in your mind and in your client's mind? Some examples would be wonderful. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.